Mad Elias was howling as Joe, aka Mad Joe MC. This is going to be my movie review for The Incredibles 2, the movie that we have all, or at least a lot of us, have been waiting 14 long years for. And this video was actually going to be up probably Saturday. I saw the movie Friday, but when I got home from seeing it, I was just too tired to, pull out the camera and do a review. And Saturday and Sunday, I was busy editing other videos, so I didn't have the time. But it's Monday when I'm recording this. Hopefully this will be up Monday evening or maybe Tuesday morning. But yeah, first, before I talk about the movie, which I'm actually not going to have too much to say about it. There isn't too much that happened that I could really talk about, I guess. But first I want to talk about the experience of it. And when I saw it with my brother, so when we got there, I had never seen a line that long at the theater that I go to. I'd never seen a line that long. Not even Infinity. When we went to see Infinity War, the line wasn't even that long. There was a line, but for Incredibles 2, I had never seen a line like that outside to get your tickets. But and tickets were there were showings. Tickets were selling out for like most of the showings, but we got an 8:45 showing. So we had to wait like an hour before it started. And then there was a line at the door, like to go into the actual cinema room. There was a line that stretched like all the way across the theater. It was crazy. But we got in and got our seats and everything, got good seats. And I was so happy about this. I didn't see one kid. Okay? And hear me out with this. I'm not saying kids can't go see this movie, okay? I'm not saying that, but let's be completely honest here. When this movie is meant for us fans who grew up watching this movie when we were kids, this movie is meant for us, okay? We've waited 14 years to see if there will be a sequel. This movie is meant for us, okay? That's just me being completely honest. I'm not saying kids can't see it. I'm just stating facts. But yeah, when we got in there, it was just adults around like my age, 18 and up. I didn't see any kids, any toddlers or anything. And during the whole movie, there wasn't like a kid crying or anything that had to be taken out of the theater. So there was like no children whatsoever, and it made me so happy just to see a bunch of fans like me and my brother who grew up watching this movie. And you could tell it was like OG fans of the original Incredibles movie, because whenever something funny would happen, people would laugh. If there was maybe like a reference to something that happened in the first movie, people got the reference. It was a great time, and everybody cheered when it ended. When the ending happened, everybody started cheering. It was one of the best movie experiences that I've had, along with Avengers Infinity War. And yeah, as far as things that happened, like I said, there's not too much to talk about, because there isn't really development between the characters, and there's no really change to their appearance, because the second one takes place literally like the minute after the first one ends. So, it takes place around the exact same time period. So there wasn't no character development between the first and second film. There wasn't any change in their outfits. I mean, yeah, Miss Incredible, her Elastigirl outfit, that was, a new change. But other than that, nothing else to really talk about concerning the characters. I guess I call this character development Violet. So she, in the first movie, she was very unsure of herself. She wasn't, confident about herself whatsoever, really. But in the second one, we actually do see her become more confident about herself. She's more sure of herself. So I did like that character development between Violet. But other than that, nothing too much to say about the characters, other than it was just great, you know, seeing their dynamic again. And the thing about the Incredibles movie is, yeah, it's a superhero movie. They're fighting bad guys, but one of the main things I've always thought of about the Incredibles movie, one of the main things I've thought the movie is really about is family. Is, you know, seeing this family of super people act like a genuine family. Like, I feel the Incredibles, these movies do it so well. You see so many movies with, you know, families and stuff like that, but the Incredibles, you really see the family dynamic. You have, you know, you have the dad, you know, going out to work and stuff. You have the mom, staying home, helping out with the children. Then you have Violet. She's like the antisocial type teenager. Then you have Dash. He's the hyper kid. Then you have Jack, you know, the crazy out of control baby. So I love the family dynamic within the Incredibles, and I think it translated very well over to the Incredibles 2 after 14 years. I think Incredibles 2 stayed very true to the original in every aspect. The family dynamic, everything, I feel it stayed true to the first Incredibles movie. One thing I will say, I definitely liked the villain better in the first film. Now, I can't remember. Syndrome. I was about to say, there's no way I have forgotten the villain's name. I mean, the concept was cool, but it felt kind of vague. It felt kind of like the concept for the villain in Incredibles 2, it kind of felt like it was just, you know, something just to be there, you know, just to give the movie itself more of a story, you know. Like I said, I feel one of the main parts about these movies is the family dynamic and seeing them act like a real, genuine family. Like the things they do, the things they say, it's how a genuine family in real life is. So I thought that's always been one of the biggest focuses of the Incredibles films. But yeah, I mean, it was cool, you know, how I'm gonna be honest about this, and I don't know why I was thinking this, but okay, so the dude who invited Frozone, Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, to this, you know, kind of program that would help supers be legal again. I was kind of expecting a twist, but I wasn't expecting it to be the sister whatsoever. I was expecting it to be her brother, and I don't know why I was, because I mean, he seemed true and genuine about how he really does like supers, and he was true and genuine about that. So I don't even know why I was thinking that. I guess it's just because I was expecting a twist, and since he was one of the main characters I was focused on in the film, I wasn't expecting it to be the sister. Like when Mrs. Incredible, when she had went in his little room and she was like, something doesn't feel right, I thought she would find something, you know, that would relate to the brother being the one who's, you know, behind the whole screenslaver stuff. Well, here's what I was thinking, that it would make sense, you know. He wants supers to be legal again, so I thought maybe he was setting up the screenslaver stuff so that Mrs. Incredible would have someone to fight, you know, because since after Underminer, that's a whole other thing I'm going to talk about later, but after he was gone, you know, there wasn't really anybody left to fight, so he took Mrs. Incredible to this place where there's a lot of crime, and I thought maybe he set up the whole screenslaver thing so that she would have someone to fight, and so that people would see that, you know, supers are needed. I thought he made a villain for, you know, a good cause. At the end of the day, he made the villain so that people would see that supers are needed. That's what I was thinking, okay? I hope that didn't sound like gibberish. It probably did. Sometimes the things I say sound like gibberish. But anyway, that's what I thought. I thought he made a villain so that supers would have to fight him so that people would see that supers are needed. That's what I thought. So when it was revealed that it was the sister, it was a surprise to me because, like I said, I was kind of expecting the twist, but I thought it would be the brother, not the sister. So I was like, wow, okay. Like, I thought when Mrs. Incredible, when she got caught screenslaver, like, I was thinking it was going to be the brother because, like I said, I thought, you know, he made a villain concept for supers to have to fight the guy so that people would see that supers are needed again. That's what I thought. So when it was the sister, I was like, wow. And yeah, Underminer. I want to talk about him because we've waited 14 years to see how this would go down, you know, and we saw it, but the Underminer got away. He's still out there somewhere, you know. I feel it was paid off. You know, we got to see them fight the Underminer, but now they didn't catch him. He's just gone. He's still off somewhere. He has, you know, there's a possibility he could come back because he's not dead. He's not in custody. He's just doing his thing. You know, he got the money. He's doing his thing. So I felt it was paid off, but I would have liked to see some full closure. You know, I would have liked to see him be defeated and taken into custody. That's just me, but you know, I was fine with what happened. It was still a great movie. What else? Like I said, there's not too much really to discuss, you know. The final fight, it was cool, and I was hoping, I mean, I like Jack, I like Dash, I like Violet, but when Mr. and Mrs. Incredible and Frozone had the goggle things on their eyes, I was like, I hope the final battle isn't Dash and Flash. First, they have similar powers and their names sound similar. Okay, so my fault for that. Dash, Jack, and Violet. I was like, I hope it isn't those three against Mr. and Mrs. Incredible and then Frozone. I want to see all the Incredibles together fighting and Frozone. I don't want to see them fighting against each other due to, you know, the villain of the show, the sister, making them fight against each other. I didn't want that to be the entire final battle. It was cool, but I felt the final battle was definitely kind of weak compared to the first final battle. I did like how it was kind of the same concept, you know. In the first one, Syndrome's little mech, I guess you would call it, was heading towards the city. And then in the second one, they kind of did that same thing, you know, the boat was heading towards the city. I did like how they did that, you know, kind of same thing. They took little pieces and references and bits from the first one and put into the second one. I like how they did that. But yeah, the final battle in the whole, it just felt weak compared to the first one. I guess because, you know, they didn't really have anyone to fight besides, but I guess you would call them the villain, her, not necessarily minions, but they were her minions for a period of time, I guess, because they had the goggles on, so they were kind of under her control, so they had to fight them and, you know, get the goggles off of them. But after that, they just had to get the sister herself, and she doesn't have any powers or anything. So, I mean, after the Incredibles had got the goggles off of everybody, then it was just all of them trying to stop the boat from getting to the city. But after, you know, they didn't have anybody to fight really. So, in the first one, you know, it was an awesome final battle. They had to defeat that mech, you know, everybody using their powers to try and defeat the mech, and then they have to stop Syndrome himself. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the second film, but the final battle as a whole, it felt kind of weak compared to the first one, I guess, because the whole villain plot in this film itself felt kind of weak compared to the first one. But like I said, again, it's really that family dynamic that is one of the main points of the movie, and that translated very well up to the second one. So even though the final battle in the whole felt kind of weak, the villain concept in the whole felt kind of weak, it was still enjoyable. It was a very enjoyable film, and I did like the ending. I like how Violet and Toby, you know, they and think about it. In the first one, at the end, he asked her on a date, and then, you know, crap went down. Then the second one, they finally are about to go on the date. And then the same thing that happens at the end of the first one happens at the end of the second one. And I knew they were going to pull something like that. I felt it was like the same thing in Cars, kind of how in the first one near the end, I can't remember his name. I think it was Mr. Texas, maybe. You know, he offered something to Lightning McQueen, and then at the end of the second one, Finn McMizzle, he had offered something to Mater as well. It was the same thing as that, kind of how it has kind of the same ending as the previous movie had. I knew they were going to do something like that. And I think that's actually very smart on that part, because what that does is that, you know, there was no real definitive ending saying there's no possibility for a second one. The door is wide open for a third one. That's exactly what they did with the first one, and that's what they did with the second one. So I see that as a very smart move on their part. I think that's all I really have to say, though. Like I said, besides talking about the family dynamic and Violet's little character development, I talked about the villain plot, the final battle, and some other things. Other than that, there's not too much really to talk about. But I will say, I enjoyed it just as much as the first film. Like, I can't say I like the first film better than the second one. I can't say I like the second film better than the first one. I enjoyed them equally, just as much. And there were parts from both films that I like better than the other. So I can't say I like one better than the other. I like them both equally. They were both equally enjoyable. The second one, it didn't feel offbeat from the first one. The second one felt it had the same tone. It had the same originality as the first one. This is one thing I just remembered, and I was actually kind of surprised by it, but then again, I thought, well, this is a movie for us, pretty much kids inside, you know, us adults who grew up with this show. Now that we're older, you know, and this movie is meant for us. Like, this, in a lot of ways, the movie itself showed that it's meant for us fans who grew up with the show. And what I mean was, there was like, I don't know exactly how many, maybe 2 or 3, or maybe just 1, I don't remember, but I definitely heard at least one swear word, and I was taken by surprise at first. I was like, wow, this is Disney. And I'm not talking about like a Disney Marvel film, like, you know, Iron Man, or, you know, Infinity War, Avengers, or anything. This is like a Disney kids film, Disney animated kids film that's PG. I was like, wow, surprised they let some of these words slide. But, you know, the movie, like, I'm not trying to say kids can't go and watch and enjoy this film, but this, in a lot of ways, this film just shows, it tells you that it's meant for us fans who grew up with this. You know, it started right after the second one, so you would have to have seen the first one anyway, you know. And most kids, like younger kids of this generation, wouldn't understand, you know, the beginning of the second film. They wouldn't understand that it picks up right after the first one. So Jack Jack and Dash, they were definitely the standout characters at all of their, like, all of the moments where they had a comedic moment. The whole theater erupted in laughter. It was crazy, especially Jack Jack with all of his powers and stuff, because at the end of the first one, you know, it was revealed that he, you know, kind of has powers. So seeing him actually use all of his different powers and stuff, especially that scene with Jack Jack and the raccoon, the whole theater was dead laughing the entire time during that. That was one of the funniest scenes of the entire movie. Jack Jack was one of the funniest things in the entire movie, along with Dash. I mean, everybody had their good moments. Like, every Frozone, Mr. Incredible, Mrs. Incredible, even Violet had a really good moment. She had some really good funny moments. Everybody had their funny moments, but it feels if I was to specify certain people, then Jack and Dash had were the two people who had the best comedic moments in the entire film. But I'm not going to ramble. I've talked about everything I want to talk about. Like I said, there wasn't too much I had to talk about just because due to it taking place right after the first film, there wasn't any development between the films. So, but I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. So, let me know what you guys thought of my review. Let me know how you guys enjoyed Incredibles 2. Let me know how old you guys were when you saw the first one. If you're like an OG fan, you've seen the movie tons of times, you grew up with this. Okay, let me know. Let me know if it compares to the first one or if the first one is better. Like I said, I enjoy both of them equally as much. Maybe some of you like I'm hearing people say they actually liked the second one better. I liked the villain better in the first one. I liked the whole villain plot better in the first one. I liked the final battle better in the first one. But even though I liked all that better, I still enjoyed the second one just as much. So let me know what you guys thought of the film. This was my review for The Incredibles 2. Hope you all enjoyed. Links on my social media will be down below in the description box. Smash the like button. Share this video with anyone you feel would enjoy. If you are new around here and you like what you see, tap the subscribe button and ding dong the notification bell to join the Mad Alliance on our journey to 100,000 subscribers. My name's Joe, aka Mad Joe FC. I hope you all have a marvelous day. Mad out. Mad. Strong. Together.